So the first piece of news that came out today, well, it came out second, but it's the first we're going to talk about, is that the hard drive of the laptop of Vegas gunman Stephen Paddock is missing. ABC News reported today that when the cops went into Stephen Paddock's room in Mandalay Bay and got his laptop, the hard drive wasn't there. Let's look at this ABC News story and look at and read through this. This is quite interesting here. Las Vegas shooter's laptop missing its hard drive. So the story says, a laptop computer recovered from the Las Vegas hotel room where Stephen Paddock launched the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history was missing its hard drive, depriving investigators of a potential key source of information on why he killed and maimed so many people, ABC News has learned. Paddock is believed to have removed the hard drive before fatally shooting himself, and the missing device has not yet been recovered, sources told ABC News. Now, that's a little confusing because does that mean, obviously he removed it before fatally shooting himself, but does that mean he removed it in the hotel room somewhere? Or did he remove it like the night before? That phrasing, removed the hard drive before fatally shooting himself, is a little confusing in terms of timeline. He could have moved it. Did he remove it before he even stayed at the hotel? That would seem confusing because why would he bring the laptop to the hotel and not have a hard drive in it? I don't know. So anyways, let's continue. I'll ask you guys about that. Investigators digging into Paddock's background also learned he purchased software designed to erase files from a hard drive, but without the hard drive to examine, it is impossible to know if he ever used the software, one source said. The absence of substantial digital clues have left investigators struggling to piece together what triggered Paddock to kill 58 innocent concert goers and injure more than 500 others on October 1st. Authorities are examining every aspect of Paddock's life, from his family, friends, and associates to his travel patterns, health, and finances. So far, a motive has been elusive to investigators. And you might have wondered, hey, before today, you might have wondered, didn't he maybe write some kind of stuff, maybe notes to himself or plans or some kind of manifesto? Unfortunately, if that's on the hard drive, the investigators don't have the hard drive now because the hard drive is missing. The frequent gambler, described as a loner, spent months amassing his arsenal, staying under the radar with no one suspecting he would turn to extreme violence. His finances did not appear to be a problem, and Paddock had settled any debts that he had with casinos shortly before the attack, a source said. So no debts with casinos. Other mass shooters in the United States have left behind writings or manifestos explaining their actions, however deranged these explanations may have been. Paddock, however, left behind no such writings or evidence that we found so far. He is not the first mass shooter to destroy or hide digital clues. I found this interesting. In 2007, Virginia Tech shooter Cho Sung-hui removed the hard drive of his computer and disposed of his cell phone shortly before the massacre. Authorities even searched a pond for the missing digital media, but the devices were never recovered. I never realized that. So in the Virginia Tech massacre, they never recovered the guy's hard drive or his cell phone. The 2008 Northern Illinois shooter, Stephen Kazmierzak, removed the SIM card from his phone and the hard drive from his laptop, and neither was recovered. In 2012, Sandy Hook shooter Adam Lanza had removed the hard drive from his computer and smashed it with a hammer or screwdriver. I don't know if authorities ever were able to get the information off that hard drive. So that is this story here, that Las Vegas shooter's laptop is missing its hard drive. Again, the police found his laptop in the hotel room. The hard drive wasn't there. And again, this quote from this article says, he is believed to have removed the hard drive before fatally shooting himself, and the device has not yet been recovered. Now, we can't tell from that quote when he removed the hard drive. Did he remove it during the shooting? 2 hours before the shooting? The day before? Days before? No idea. So we're going to talk about the second story about his brother in a second, but I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts on this. Why would he remove the hard drive? Well, one obvious guess as to why he removed the hard drive is he didn't want people to find out that information, whatever was on there. But was a motive on there? Was something else personal on there? Maybe he just had a lot of personal stuff on there he didn't want anyone to find. But, you know, he was a very, from reports, he was a very detail-oriented planning kind of person. So did he maybe find some way to just destroy it or hide it that pretty much would ensure it would never be found? And the timeline's really important here, because if he did it, like, if he pulled out the hard drive like during the shooting, where would he put it? But maybe he did it the night before. But if so, did he like go out to the desert and throw it somewhere? Like, where would it be and why would he do this? So what do you think about this? I would like to know what you think. Write to me on Twitter at @Lookner and let me know. I'm going to read your comments in a second. This is Right Side Broadcasting. We are covering this new news today that the Vegas shooter's hard drive is missing and his brother was arrested on child porn charges, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I just want to say, if you do enjoy our coverage of breaking news like this, and we thought it was important to come on and talk about these details today. I don't know about how much the mainstream media is talking about them. I'm guessing they're not reading your comments on the air, but if you like this alternative to the mainstream media, please consider making a donation, because we do rely on your donations to stay on the air. We are viewer supported. So your donations are what keeps us on the air. So if you'd like to donate, you can go to the bottom of the YouTube chat room and click on the little dollar sign, that little dollar symbol at the bottom of the YouTube chat room, or you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And don't forget, subscribe to us on YouTube so you know and click the notifications bell, very important, so you know when we're coming on the air with videos like these. All right, I want to see first if anybody has written in so far with any thoughts or theories about the hard drive being missing and where it might be and what was on it. Let's see. Garrett writes in, "Isn't it a lie Jesus Campos," I think it's pronounced Jesus, but I'm not sure, didn't make an immediate emergency call after he'd been shot because he wouldn't block radio frequency? I know nothing about this. I'll have to look it up. But it's a little off the topic of hard drive, so maybe we can come back to this later. But for now, I want to stick to the hard drive because that's the focus right now. But remind me later, maybe we can go back to that. Barry George says, did he throw the hard drive out the window? So you'd think if he threw the hard drive out the window, it would have been recovered by now. Also, because they would have searched that area. Also, I wonder, wouldn't there be security cams outside I would think there might be security cams outside of Mandalay Bay, which would see the hard drive coming out, but maybe not, I don't know. So I think it's unlikely he threw it out the window because it would have been found, or at least some residue would have been found, but who knows? Tom Davis says, Steve, the FBI is assuming there was a hard drive in Paddock's laptop. If it wasn't in his machine, they can't assume it's missing. So you're saying, well, what if there was never a hard drive there? Well, there had to be a hard drive in it at some point. I don't think they would manufacture just the laptop. I think what you're saying is when he brought the computer to the hotel, there was no hard drive in it. So that is certainly possible. The question is, why would this guy bother to bring a laptop to the hotel with him for several days with no hard drive in it? Maybe there are reasons, I don't know, but that's a question I would ask. Jason Clemens says, oh wait, that's from something different, isn't it? That's about the brother. We'll hold off on that, Jason. That's about the brother, so we'll get to that in a second. Remind me if I don't get to it, Jason. Let's see if we have any other messages here from you guys. I'm the Dude Man says he didn't want to leave evidence that got others in trouble. So you think I'm the Dude Man, that maybe others were involved in either this or some other kind of, I assume you mean this shooting. But I mean, making a more general point, perhaps he had dealings with other people and he didn't want their details revealed. Other dealings not having to do with the shooting. Interesting thought. Let's see. Barry George says, haven't we established that the cameras were pretty much useless? There was a lot they missed. It's a good question, but I have no idea. This is not an original thought. A lot of people have said it, but it would seem that there are security cameras all around these hotels and in hallways and stuff. I have no idea what footage they actually do have of that night and stuff. And so it's possible there's a lot of footage that we just haven't seen and that the police aren't releasing and the hotel isn't releasing. Maybe hotels don't like to publicly have their security cameras released because they don't want customers to know where all the security cameras are. Maybe there are more security cameras than meets the eye in these hotels, and they don't want to release that information. So it's a good question. We don't really know at this point what kind of security footage there is around of this and what exactly is on it. At least to my knowledge, we don't have that. We don't know that, and perhaps there's more that we, not being authorities, haven't seen. American Patriot says, I have to agree with the person in the chat room that it's probably in the Philippines. So you're saying because his wife wasn't she in the Philippines at the time? Not Japan. Wasn't she in the Philippines? Let me just look this up. Sorry. Now I'm getting all confused here. Hold on. Let me go back to me here. Let me just confirm this. She spent her last hours before the massacre in the Philippines. So you think with her brother, I guess, according to the Daily Mail. So you think that the hard drive is there. Now, if she had it, I would assume authorities have been trying to get it from her, but I don't know. Or maybe you're saying maybe he had her hide it there or something? Bob Six says, I still believe he didn't act alone. Michael Benavides says, what if he had an external hard drive small enough to flush? It's an interesting thought. I was wondering before, briefly, I had thought about like a thumb drive, but you're right, there are external hard drives. And I would presume you could boot a computer from an external hard drive, like a laptop. I'm not very techie, but, and he said, what if he had, Michael Benavides says, what if he had an external hard drive small enough to flush? Now, I also presume they have been looking through either the sewer system or the toilet system. I have to assume they're doing this to see if he flushed anything down the toilet. I would think they would look there. Now, I don't know if they can find stuff through there in a foolproof way, but I'm guessing that's a thought that they had, the authorities. Real Trophy Wifey says, Paddock is the fall guy, if he even exists at all. The deep state of our government is slaughtering whites. They have hard drive. So I have not seen any evidence for this, that he's not real and that it's the deep state doing this. I have not seen any evidence for that, but thank you for writing in, Real Trophy Wifey. Deplorable Dave says, whoever was there with Stephen Paddock for dinner on the 27th took it, possibly. Denise Collins says, a hard drive would provide a trail of who he was remotely in contact with, even a web page. Barry George says, even if they don't give the video footage to the media, they would have to turn it over to investigators. Someone knows something. Yeah, I do believe that if they have security footage, they would turn it over to investigators. But, even though there have been some leaks from investigators, like the photos in the hotel room, that doesn't mean everything they have has been leaked so far. All right, so let's talk about the second story, and then we can come back to the hard drive. But I want to talk about the second big story that came out on the Vegas shooter today. So we just talked about how his hard drive is missing. The cops went into his room after the shooting, and the laptop was there, but there was no hard drive in it, and they haven't found it yet. Here is the second story. The second story relevant to this. Well, no, I don't want to say relevant. The second story. Related to Stephen Paddock, I don't know if it's relevant to the investigation. On the face of it, it's not, but you never know. Is that Stephen Paddock's brother, this is Bruce Paddock, I believe. Let me make sure I get the right brother here. Bruce Paddock was arrested today on child porn charges. Now, this is not the brother who you might have seen speaking from a driveway in the immediate aftermath of the attacks, the day after attacks. That was, I believe, Eric Paddock. That was not Bruce Paddock. So this is not the brother that was on TV speaking about the shooting and saying, I don't know why my brother did this or something like that. This is a different brother. But let's read about this brother. So he was arrested today on child porn charges. So here's the headline here. Let me show you the headline. Vegas gunman Stephen Paddock's brother arrested in child porn probe. So let's look at this article now. This is the NBC News article. The estranged brother of the Las Vegas massacre gunman Stephen Paddock was arrested Wednesday on child pornography charges, law enforcement sources said. Bruce Paddock, 58, was detained at a Los Angeles assisted living facility where he was awaiting surgery for spinal stenosis. A felony complaint said he had over 600 explicit images of minors in 2014 and had also swapped pornography. He faces 19 counts of sexual exploitation of a child and 1 count of possession of child pornography, the complaint says. So, a couple things to note there. One is that I guess this is a charge stemming back from 2014. This investigation I had read in the Fox News story had been going on before the shooting. They were investigating Bruce Paddock for this. And also it says 1 count of possession of child porn and 19 counts of sexual exploitation of a child. Now, what is that? Is sexual exploitation of a child some kind of charge you get if you like trade pornography? What is sexual exploitation of children? Any person, this is the U.S. code, any person who employs, uses, persuades, induces, entices, or coerces any minor to engage in, or has a minor assist in any other person to engage in. Any parent, legal, and that's A. B is any parent, legal guardian, or person having custody or control of a minor who knowingly permits such minor to engage in. C is, I'm trying to see if any of this is just if you can get charged with sexual exploitation of children just for possessing pornography, or if it requires something more than that. Well, D is any person who, well, that's paragraph. Any person who makes, publishes, or causes to be made, printed, or published any notice or advertisement seeking or offering to receive, exchange, buy, produce, blah, 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 depiction, and the circumstances that such person knows or has reason to know that such notice or advertisement will be transported using any means or facility of interstate foreign commerce. So from my quick reading of this, it seems like if you post a message online saying, hey, does somebody have any child porn they can send me? I believe on my quick reading, I have to go over this in more detail, but I believe on my quick reading, this would apply to that. If somebody out of state might read this and send you that child porn. So from my very quick reading, don't hold me to this, but from my very quick reading, sexual exploitation of children charge could apply to someone who didn't actually photo the kids, him or herself. So I was just trying to check out what was going on with that. Perhaps he was involved in some kind of, it said that he had, in this article here, that he had swapped pornography. So maybe that was the reason for the sexual exploitation of child charges. Anyways, let's continue. An attorney who Paddock said had represented him in criminal matters in the past, this is Bruce Paddock, told NBC News he is no longer representing Paddock and declined to comment. At the time of the mass shooting on October 1st that left 58 dead, Bruce Paddock, who's the one who was arrested for child porn, told NBC News that he had not been in touch with his brother Stephen for 10 years, and he had no idea why the professional gambler would have opened fire on music festival attendees from his room at the Mandalay Bay. And he said at around the time of the shooting, I don't know how he could stoop to this low point, hurting someone else. It wasn't suicide by cop since he killed himself, he said at the time. He killed a bunch of people and then killed himself so he didn't have to face whatever it was. It was Bruce Paddock who revealed that their father was a bank robber who once made the FBI's most wanted list and was judged by authorities to be psychopathic with suicidal tendencies. But he insisted that his brother was not mentally deranged and noted that Stephen had never been in trouble with the law like he said. Now, this is some interesting stuff about Bruce Paddock, the one who was arrested for child porn today. Court records show Bruce Paddock has a criminal record stretching back to the 1980s with convictions for vandalism, criminal threats, theft, and driving with a suspended vehicle, and other arrests for which he was not convicted. So, between the father and the brother, there is some pattern of criminal behavior in the family. Continuing here, Paddock was annoyed that his brother's monstrous crime, the shooting that is, had brought attention to his own misdeeds, which he described as minor. He had to scramble to pay a fine after it was reported that there was an active warrant for his arrest from a vandalism case in which he had failed to perform community service. I'm not proud of it, he said, but I never went to prison. FBI agents visited him twice after the shooting, he said, and were mostly interested in his brother's childhood. This is also interesting here. In the days after the Vegas carnage, Bruce Paddock frantically tried to reconnect with members of his fractured family, leaving messages for another brother, Eric, and reaching out to the attorney for Stephen's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley. I might have said wife before, it was girlfriend. I believe. Yes, girlfriend. I want to see if we could patch up what we destroyed so many years ago, he said. He added that he had only succeeded in reaching his elderly mother, and she's yelling at me all the time not to talk to anyone. Earlier this week, Bruce Paddock said he was concerned about the fate of his brother's remains and had reached out to the coroner's office in Nevada to see if he could claim them. So, we have the story that the Vegas gunman's brother was arrested on child porn in a child porn probe for child porn charges. If nothing else, it does continue to show that there is criminal behavior in the family. We know that the father was a bank robber and was once on the FBI's most wanted list, and now we have his brother Bruce has been arrested for this, but as the article said, had also been in some trouble with the law in the past. Do you think this has any relevance to the investigation to Stephen Paddock? Do you think this is sort of just a sidelight thing? I mean, this investigation was going on before the shooting, but do you think the fact that the brother was doing this has any relevance for the Stephen Paddock shooting investigation, or is it just a coincidence? What do you think? Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. I'm going to read some of your comments right now, but first, I want to thank Elizabeth Luker, who made a donation. And Elizabeth Luker says, and the rabbit hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the donation. We appreciate the donations because your donations are what keeps us on the air. We are viewer supported. And being viewer supported lets us be independent and talk about what we want. But we rely on your donations to stay on the air. So if you like our coverage, please consider donating. Go to the bottom of the YouTube chat right next to the broadcast. There's a little dollar symbol there. Just click on that dollar symbol. Or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And thank you again to the moderators who've been moderating the chat today. In the YouTube chat, we got JC who's there, Guinevere, Real Frank. Maybe there are some before who I missed. And also we have Glenn O and Common Sense on the website moderating that chat. All right, let me get to some more of your comments here. Let's see. Barry George says, that dude is a sicko. These crimes should be capital offenses. Tadpole Swimming says, remember they went through the lobby of Tropicana to get the closed circuit TV vids. Tropicana has best view of Mandalay Bay and venue. So you think there is more relevant videos, security videos out there that we haven't seen yet, but maybe the authorities have. Raphael G says, don't forget the room service receipt for 2. There were 2 people in that room. Maybe this second person has the hard drive. CMK says, ISIS handler instructed him to remove the hard drive and destroy it. So you're talking about the last story we just talked about. Vegas shooter's hard drive is missing. I have seen no evidence of that ISIS instructed him, but appreciate you writing in. Let me just make sure I'm caught up on your messages here. Oh, I have another message here. Richard Shell writes in saying Operation Casino was a failed false flag operation against the United States American government that originated with the U.S. Department of Defense and globalists in the U.S. government in 2017. Again, I have not seen any evidence for this, but some of you think that's the case? American Girl says, Bruce kiddie porn Paddock wants to feign moral scruples and condemn brother. Maybe Bruce and Stephen weren't as estranged and linked by child porn. So this is an interesting point, American Girl. Look, I do think Given that the brother was arrested for child porn, investigators would probably at least look into Stephen Paddock's background and say, is this something he was involved in? Now, I've heard no evidence that Stephen Paddock was involved in this, but it is something, to look into because they don't have a motive right now and don't really understand his behavior. So something like this could end up being a relevant detail, but they would have to find some connection between this, his brothers doing this, and Stephen Paddock, which I'm not aware of any yet, but we'll see if anything comes out. Barry George says maybe they did find the hard drive and are burying evidence. I have no evidence of that, but Also, now we don't know. I would assume. Well, anyways, I tend to trust in some. For me, something like that is kind of a big risk if they're doing it, because if they get found out, it's a whole huge scandal and everything. And so I assume that they're doing their best to solve the crime, but I appreciate you giving your view as well. Andrew Sova sent me an article from your Newswire saying Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock ran CIA child trafficking ring. I haven't seen that reported by any major news outlets. And he says this is fake news. Until I see something like that reported by like one of the major news outlets, I'm not going to assume it's true. Not saying I know all the facts, but that's the way I approach these things, because there's a lot out there about this that people are putting out there. Chris Havid says, can you please start streaming on the channel's main live URL like most live streamers do for convenience? I think what you're asking is, can you stream on the 24-hour stream? So, well, sometimes we put these streams on the 24-hour streams, but there's technical reasons why we do it this way. I don't know if Joe is watching right now. He might be or might not be. Joe, feel free to comment on this. If not, Chris, feel free to write me back on the next broadcast and I can ask Joe for some clarification of this. But there are reasons we do it this way. Also, I will say this, Chris. One reason we do it, well, we need to have the individual streams, because that way, if we just had one ongoing stream, then there would be no videos in the archives. There'd be no video in the archives that people could go after the broadcast and find this one. They'd have to go back, I guess, to the 24-hour stream and try to find this, but I don't even know how long back it holds the stuff in memory. So that's one reason, but I think you might be asking, why can't you also run it on the 24-hour stream? So anyways, I'll try to get an answer for you, but I know there are reasons for this, or a reason for it. Okay, let me just see if I'm caught up. Okay, I caught up on all your messages. By the way, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell so you know when we're coming on the air with these kind of videos. Also, follow us on Facebook at Right Side Broadcasting and on Twitter at RSB Network. And you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner. I post about breaking news all the time, even when we're not on the air. So if you like breaking news, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Jeremy Miller, one of our viewers, wrote in and said, I'll show you in a second. Hold on, I'll get you what Jeremy Miller sent me. Jeremy Miller wrote in, seems like the FBI is doing a great job at protecting evidence. And he sent me a couple links to stories that say, this was from a couple weeks ago, saying that Stephen Paddock's house had been broken into. I want to do a real quick check here and just see if anything has come up in recent minutes about this. Those seem to be the two big stories today. The hard drive missing from Stephen Paddock's computer, the laptop they found in his hotel room, and his brother being arrested for child pornography. So we'll keep an eye on this story. We'll let you know if any other big news happens on it. Let's see here. Oh, so Takata writes, it's Nevada, not Nevada. Drives us West Coasties nutso to hear it without the harder A sound. Otherwise, keep up the great work. Jenny Allen. Thank you, Jenny. So you're saying it's Nevada. Hold on a second here. If I look it up in the dictionary, if I go here, if I go to Free Dictionary says
Nevada.
Nevada. I'm saying Nevada. Does no one say Nevada? Is it just me? Anyways.
Nevada.
Well, I'll try to correct my pronunciation of it. All right. I think at this point, we are going to wrap up this stream after having covered this news. We will, if there's more breaking updates about this, we'll always come on the air and like all the breaking news and keep you updated. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Also, thank you again, Elizabeth Luca, for the donation. Your donations are what allow us to do these broadcasts and keep us on the air. And we appreciate even small donations because they all add up and they help. So if you'd like to donate and support Right Side Broadcasting and allow us to keep doing these broadcasts, you can go to the YouTube chat room, go to the bottom of the YouTube chat and click on the $ there, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And you can also even get free stuff like this Right Side mug by setting up a monthly donation. To find out how to do that, go to rsbn.tv/donate. Okay, I think we're going to wrap this up right now. And we will keep an eye on the news today and come on the air if there's other breaking news. And thank you, everybody in the chat room. I see people saying thank you as well. Thank you again to the moderators in the chat rooms. And thank you, Matthew Castaneda, for saying thank you. Thanks, Bearcat Fierce. Light Switch says no alert from YouTube. I got one alert, but didn't get the email alert. It's very confusing. Their email alerts don't seem to be working lately. It's kind of confusing. Now everybody in the chat room is talking about Nevada and not Nevada. Anyways, and then Matt Blackwood says either way is correct. Anyways, okay, I'm wrapping this up right now. Thank you, Sleight of Hand. Thank you, everybody else saying thanks in the chat room. Thanks, Light Switch. And people saying thanks now. Got to say thanks to people. JC. Jonas likes my shirt today. Thank you. Go to Men's Warehouse if you want one. They sell them there. That's where I got this one. Thank you, Gyaldem. JC said alert on the phone. Thank you, Swoosh. Thank you, Corey for NDER, Coriander or something. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Cyrillus. Thank you, John. Thank you, Renee Marie, I already said. Thank you, Frank, Barrett, Christine, Guinevere JC. Right, Real Frank, Jude, all you folks. Okay, wrapping it up for now. We'll keep an eye on the news today and bring you more news if and when it happens. For now, I am Steve Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys soon.